InvestSMART separately managed account benefit number 3. Total transparency. In a separately managed account, you'll see all holdings, transactions and income. Unlike a managed fund where you'll only be shown the top 10 holdings or sometimes even less. You get to see the successes and we won't hide the losers. With a simple click on the stock code, you can read the logic behind every buy and sell decision. For more information, visit www.investsmart.com.au or download our new app.
Hello, I'm Tony Kaye. I'm the editor of Eureka Report. Welcome to the Economic View. I'm joined by Callam Pickering, our economics writer.
Great to be here.
Now, the jobs data that came out last week, huge surge. What are we to make out of those numbers?
Well, it's very difficult to say at this point in time. From month to month, the labour force figures can be quite volatile. And this was one of those months where we got a really strong number. So employment rose by 60,900 people, which is an incredible increase by Australian standards and about 3 times higher than market expectations. So naturally, market participants were pretty happy with the result. Nevertheless, the result's a little bit implausible. That sort of month-to-month movement doesn't happen naturally, and you would expect that we could see some snapback via weaker than expected employment growth over the next few months, which would sort of normalise that result somewhat.
We've seen this before, haven't we? We've seen large spikes in jobs growth, and then those numbers proved to be not quite reliable.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the ABS actually reported some data that indicated that employment rose by over 100,000 in a particular month, and that was revealed later down the track to be an issue with their seasonal adjustment program, which required some revision to their data series. Now, I don't necessarily expect that will be the case this time. We have seen increases of around 60,000 in previous years, and that's proved to be quite normal. But it is still a very strong result, and as I said, I expect that we may see some weakness to normalise that result in the coming months.
Taking those results on face value, where are the strong growth spots in the economy?
So over the past 6 months or so, full-time employment has been the one that's been driving the increase in total employment. That's a bright spot for the Australian economy because full-time employment had actually been quite weak over the previous few years, and employment growth, to the extent that it was occurring, was largely concentrated in part-time and casual employment. State by state, we are seeing ongoing strength in New South Wales and Victoria, which is what you would expect given the economic circumstances in both states. Western Australia, though, continues to be a bit of a problem, and their economy continues to be very, very weak.
Now, one of your hobby horses is around workforce participation. So do these figures shed any light on that aspect?
We have seen a little bit of a pick-up in labour force participation over the past 3 to 6 months. Nevertheless, participation is still well and truly lower than it was, say, 5 years ago. So it is still quite weak by historical standards. Now, this is also feeding into the unemployment rate, and because jobs growth overall hasn't necessarily been that strong, with the exception of the most recent data point, increasing participation has actually led to an increase in the unemployment rate, which picked up to 5.9% in March.
Callam, in the past, the ABS has said that the best measure of labour market participation is total hours worked. What are these latest figures showing us?
So it actually provides an interesting contrast against those quite strong employment figures. So as I noted earlier, employment rose by 60,900 people in the month of March, yet hours worked only increased by 0.2%. in March, which is actually a very weak result. And part of the reason was because a lot of people were actually working fewer hours. So if you put those two figures side by side, you get a very mixed view of the Australian labour market. So while markets might focus on that very strong employment figure and be quite positive about the release of the labour force figures, perhaps they might want to temper that a little bit given the ongoing weakness in hours worked.
As always, the devil's really in the detail of these numbers, and we look forward to seeing what comes out next month, really, to see if we can get a clearer picture. Thanks for coming in, Callam.
Great to be here.
Join us again for the Economic View next time.